The Keeper of Slow Lights, Part 1. The Road That Remembers Footsteps. There are roads that lead somewhere, and then there are roads that simply go, unhurried, the way an old dog ambles home after an afternoon in the fields, nose low, ears at rest, in no particular rush to arrive. These roads do not press the traveler. They are a little tired themselves and glad for quiet company. It was along one such road that a boy named Emil walked one evening in the last of autumn. He was about as old as one needs to be to understand that trees become different things at dusk, as though they have spent the whole day standing very straight and are now, with the light going, allowing themselves to slouch a little, to drop their arms, to breathe more slowly. And there is something in that slow breathing that settles a person, the way the sound of someone sleeping nearby can ease you towards sleep yourself. Emil carried a basket. Inside the basket was the following: half a round loaf of bread, wrapped in a cloth the color of old linen, a small crock of honey with a piece of red twine tied around its neck so it would not be confused with the crock that held no honey, a pear that was ripe on one side and still firm on the other, and a wool mitten, inside of which, for reasons he had entirely forgotten, rested 4 smooth river stones. He had almost taken them out before leaving, but something had stopped him. Sometimes that is enough for a reason. He was going to see the Keeper of Slow Lights. Everyone in the village knew that the Keeper of Slow Lights lived where the road gave way to meadow, and the meadow gave way to mist. But nobody went there very often, not from any reluctance, but simply because the occasion rarely arose. The keeper was the kind of person one does not visit without cause, though she had never, as far as anyone could recall, turned a visitor away. Emil was going because his grandmother had asked him to. Bring her the bread and the honey and the pear, she had said, her hands busy pressing dough. She is fond of pears. Will she mind me coming? Emil had asked. His grandmother had thought about this for a moment. No, she had said at last. She is in no hurry for anything. Slow lights. Emil turned the phrase in his mind as he walked. He was not entirely sure what it meant. He had seen fast lights, a struck match, a firefly startle out of grass, lightning that split the sky and was gone before you could say you'd seen it. Slow lights were harder to picture. A candle, perhaps. The moon rising. The long warm blush of a fire that has been burning all evening and intends to burn a good while longer. The road curved around an old willow that everyone simply called the willow. Its branches hung down to brush the path, and walking beneath them was like passing through a soft curtain. A quiet shift from one kind of space into another. Emil slowed without meaning to, and the basket bumped gently against his knee. Beyond the willow, the road narrowed. The grasses on either side grew taller and leaned inward, and the sky deepened from pale amber to something more serious, a blue that was almost purple. The first stars appeared, not all at once, but one by one. Could smell the mist before he could see it. That particular coolness, like the inside of a stone cellar or the shade beneath a very large fern. And then the meadow opened before him, and there it was, a low, rolling sea of white that moved with no wind. And at the edge of the mist there was a house. Part 2. A house that had settled into itself. It was not a grand house. It had arrived at something more comfortable, a kind of deep, unhurried rightness. The walls were made of stone, now softened by time and pale lichen. The roof was thick with thatch, uneven in places, like a loaf that has risen without being watched too closely. A chimney stood at one end, and from it rose a thread of smoke, slow, contented. There were lights in the windows. Emil stopped at the gate and looked at them. They were glowing. They moved slightly the way flame moves. He lifted the gate, passed through, and set it back. The path to the door was made of flat stones, with soft moss between them. It gave slightly under his feet. He knocked. From inside came a sound, a chair moving, a step, calm paced. The door opened. Part 3. The Keeper. She was not old, and she was not young. She was the age of certain trees that have settled into themselves. Her hair was the color of river reeds in November. Her eyes shifted between gray and green and something else, depending on the light. She looked at Emil the way some people look at the weather. "You'll be the Mawson boy," she said. "Emil," he said, "my grandmother sent bread and honey and a pear." "A pear," she said. "Come in then. The stones get cold after dark." Part 4. The inside of the house. It was the kind of inside that took a moment to arrive in. There was much to see, but nothing asked to be seen all at once. On a table, near the window, stood glass vessels, each holding a small flame, some amber, some pale, one almost blue. Emil understood that these were the slow lights. They were shelves with books, leaning into one another. Dried plants hung from the beams. The fire in the hearth was steady and deep. A cat slept in one of the chairs, curled into itself, unmoving except for the smallest motion at the tip of its tail. "Sit," said the keeper. Emil sat. The chair received him easily. The fire warmed his face. After a while, he noticed that he had stopped thinking about anything in particular. Part 5. What the keeper said about stars. They sat with bread and honey and slices of pear. "And the stars?" he asked after a while. She was quiet. "Some lights travel longer than others," she said at last. "Some have been on their way a very long time." Emil looked toward the window. "How do you keep track?" he asked. "I watch," she said. "And sometimes I write things down. And sometimes I sit outside." "They know you're there?" She smiled. "It seems polite to behave as though they might." Part 6. The story of the glass vessels. She lifted a small vessel with a pale blue flame. "This one came from the coast," she said, "from a lighthouse." The flame moved slightly. She kept it for many years, the keeper said. Emil imagined the place without needing to ask. What about the others? He said. The amber one is newer, she said, from wax on the southern hill. What does the valley know? She looked at him. That is the right question, she said. She glanced at the flame. It does not mind waiting. Part 7. The Mist. They stood at the window. The mist had risen. Is there anything in it? Emil asked. I have seen shapes, she said. Not frightening, simply presences. Like caterpillars, he said. She nodded. They stood quietly. Part 8. The Cat. The cat had shifted slightly in its sleep. What is its name? Emil asked. I call him Mute, she said. The cat stretched one paw and settled again. Looking at it, Emil became aware of the warmth of the fire and the weight of the chair beneath him. Part 9. The Notebooks. There were notebooks on the shelf. What do you write? He asked. Arrivals, she said. She showed him a page. The moon was like that in September. She closed the book. Part 10. The Long Way Stars Travel. After a while, she said, There is something I like to remember at this hour. Emil nodded. The light from the nearest star, beyond our sun, takes years to reach us, she said. By the time we see it, it has already been traveling for a long time. The fire shifted. Every night, she said quietly, more of it arrives. Emil's eyes grew heavy. And the light that lives here goes on as well, she said. Farther than we can follow. Part 11. Night. At some point, Emil's eyes closed. The thoughts thinned. The room remained. The fire. The slow lights. The quiet. The keeper sat for a long time. The cat slept. The mist moved. The stars continued to arrive. She watched them. She did not write anything down. She remained where she was. The bread was gone. The honey was nearly gone. The night was enough. Sleep well. The lights will still be burning in the morning.